Could one small mistake have changed the fate of the Titanic? To answer this, we need to go back in time to 1912, a year when the world believed in the promise of modern engineering and technology. The Titanic was a symbol of progress, a luxurious floating city that was proclaimed unsinkable. But as we'll see, even the grandest dreams can be undone by human error and nature's power. The Titanic set sail on April 10, 1912, leaving Southampton, England, with stops in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland, before heading toward New York City. On board were over 2,200 passengers and crew, from wealthy elites like John Jacob Astor IV and Benjamin Guggenheim to working-class families hoping for a fresh start in America. The ship itself was a marvel of its time, 882 feet long, equipped with ornate dining rooms, a swimming pool, a gym, and even a Turkish bath. Its first-class accommodations were unmatched, offering a lifestyle of luxury at sea. But for those in third class, the conditions were far simpler, though still better than many other ships of the era. From the very beginning, however, cracks in this perfect image began to appear. The Titanic was designed with 16 watertight compartments, a feature that was supposed to make it unsinkable. However, these compartments didn't extend all the way up to the deck, a design choice that would prove fatal. Moreover, the ship carried only 20 lifeboats, enough for just about half the people on board. This was a decision driven by aesthetics rather than safety. On April 14, 4 days into the journey, the Titanic was cruising through the icy waters of the North Atlantic. That day, the ship received multiple warnings from nearby vessels about icebergs ahead. However, the messages were not always delivered to the bridge promptly. The crew, confident in their ship's abilities, maintained a high speed of 22 knots, believing they could safely navigate through the icy waters. As night fell, the air turned frigid, and the sea became unusually calm, conditions that made spotting icebergs even more challenging. In the crow's nest, two lookouts, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, kept watch. But one essential tool was missing: binoculars. A mix-up before departure had left the ship's binoculars locked in a storage room, and no one had the key. At 11:40 p.m., Fleet spotted a massive iceberg directly in the Titanic's path. He rang the alarm bell and shouted,
"Iceberg, right ahead!"
The officer on duty ordered the engines reversed, and the ship steered hard to port. But the Titanic was too large to maneuver quickly. The iceberg scraped along its starboard side, puncturing holes below the waterline across several compartments. At first, the damage didn't seem catastrophic. Many passengers didn't even notice the collision. But as water began flooding the lower compartments, the ship's fate was sealed. The Titanic could stay afloat with 4 flooded compartments, but 5 were compromised. Slowly, the bow of the ship began to dip into the icy water. As the realization set in, chaos erupted. The crew worked to lower the lifeboats, but there were too few, and the evacuation was uncoordinated. Women and children were given priority, but many lifeboats were launched half-empty due to confusion and fear. In the face of the disaster, acts of heroism and humanity shone through. The ship's band continued to play music to calm passengers. A famous account recalls their final piece being "Nearer, My God, to Thee." Captain Edward Smith stayed on the bridge, giving orders until the very end. Many crew members, like Chief Baker Charles Chauffeur, helped passengers board lifeboats before facing the icy waters themselves. At 2:20 a.m. on April 15, the Titanic broke apart and sank beneath the surface. Of the 2,200 people on board, over 1,500 lost their lives, many succumbing to hypothermia in the freezing Atlantic. The survivors, around 700, were rescued by the RMS Carpathia hours later. In the aftermath, the world was in shock. The Titanic had been a symbol of human achievement, and its loss raised pressing questions. Could more lifeboats have saved lives? Would slower speeds or better communication have made a difference? And what if those binoculars had been available in the crow's nest? The disaster led to major changes in maritime safety. Lifeboat requirements were increased, iceberg patrols were established, and ships were required to maintain 24-hour radio communication. So, could one mistake have prevented the Titanic disaster? Perhaps, but history shows us that it wasn't just one mistake. It was a combination of overconfidence, design flaws, and missed opportunities. The Titanic's story reminds us of the delicate balance between human ambition and nature's power. What do you think? Could a single change have saved the Titanic? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from history.